What up, what up, what up? This is DB Talkin Now, DB Talkin Birds, DB Talkin Philadelphia Eagles. Got a lot to get into, guys. I want to talk about Arron Rodgers. Arron Rodgers and Russell Wilson are going to be back and playing tomorrow versus each other in tomorrow's game, Seahawks versus the Green Bay Packers. So I definitely want to talk about that, and here's why. I mean, obviously with Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson on the field, the Seahawks always have a chance to make the playoffs. So I think that this is a really huge game for the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson coming back. That if they want to try and make their way and earn their chance to play in the playoffs, this week would be the best week to go ahead and do that, get a win, especially against a team like the Packers, who have a pretty good record. Did play one game without Arron Rodgers. So, but now that Arron Rodgers is coming back, it just adds to the intensity and adds to the hype of Russell Wilson versus Arron Rodgers for that Seahawks versus Packers game. So, some other things I want to talk about. Obviously, guys, we saw Jalen Hurts progress last week. We saw him progress. We saw him take his time in the pocket. We saw him stand in the pocket a little bit more. And so the question is, can he continue to get better? And it's really telling. Obviously, this is one stat that we're just not talking about very often so far this season, which is Jalen Hurts has significantly decreased the amount of times that he has turned the ball over from last year to this year. And I think that that's obviously a phenomenal stat. Obviously, you don't want to give the ball away to the other team. With only 4 interceptions on the season, through 9 games, that's pretty good. Obviously he only has 11 passing touchdowns, but he's also got 5 rushing touchdowns to go along with that. So, it's good. It's good. My question is that, can he continue to get better as a passer, though? Can he continue to get better as a passer? Can he increase his accuracy percentage? Things like that. Be able to read the pocket, read the field better, things of that nature. Because if he can do that, regardless of whether or not Howie Roseman was out scouting Kenny Pickett, who, by the way, we're going to get into because I think Kenny Pickett has the ability to be a complete stud. Regardless of his age, the age thing's not really a big deal to me. I think as long as you can get 10 years out of your quarterback, then I think you're okay, regardless of what age he is when he comes into the NFL, which he would be 24. So, So, I mean, if Jalen Hurts can continue to improve himself as a passer, we could see a decent, better quarterback in year 2. You know what I mean? I'm not ready to give up on Jalen Hurts yet. I mean, I want to continue to see games like I saw last week, but, with increased production, and yes, does that come with only 17 passes? Yeah, it does. But but history shows as of this season that if you go above that threshold, Jalen Hurts will start to struggle. Well, I think it's just a matter of time of grooming Jalen Hurts, making sure that you continue to stick with the run game, and really help him out in this first year for himself. Truly, honestly, the very first full year of him being the starter. Who knows? Who knows what year 2 is going to look like? Who knows what year 2 is going to look like if Jalen Hurts remains to be the guy? And that's the thing, is that's what I kind of mean, is if Jalen can continue to get better, then he might have a shot at being the guy next year as well. But does that mean that that's going to keep Howie Roseman from drafting a quarterback? I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. Even if Jalen Hurts does have a successful year, which he's on pace to having a successful year, 62-point completion percentage and, about 22 touchdowns passing and about 8 interceptions and so on and so forth. I still don't think that that's going to steer Howie Roseman away from drafting quarterback early. And reason being is because they want to make sure They don't want to go into another season where they're unsure. And that's exactly what they did this season. And they're still unsure. Nobody really knows who Jalen Hurts is. Nobody really truly knows yet how he's going to pan out. So, I mean, the offense has been inconsistent up until this point. However, last 2 weeks, obviously, with the help of the run game, we're starting to get a better look and a better feel for what the offense could be. So, yeah, I mean, just imagine Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard out there together instead of Boston Scott and Jordan Howard. Honestly, I've always been a key component. I think that I've always been a key advocate for finding the ability to use all four running backs. And so obviously I'm talking about Kenny Gainwell, I'm talking about Boston Scott, I'm talking about Miles Sanders, and I'm talking about Jordan Howard. You can find different packages for Boston Scott. Same way that they use Kenny Gainwell. You know what I mean? So like, I don't really understand the logic there, but obviously the Eagles play the Broncos tomorrow, and there's a real possibility that the Broncos could just let this one get away from the Eagles. Force this one to get away from the Eagles. Teddy Bridgewater obviously is deadly accurate. He doesn't take a lot of risks, but he's still accurate and can still move the ball. And in my opinion, I believe that Teddy is very, very smart. Teddy Bridgewater is very, very smart with the football. I remember watching Teddy Bridgewater when he was playing for the Minnesota Vikings, and he was a big play quarterback, and he still is a big play quarterback. I think he's more hesitant now, but he's also more accurate as well. So that's so the fine line is right there at the sweet spot, which makes people good quarterbacks great quarterbacks. And knowing this Philadelphia Eagles defense, there's a strong possibility that we're going to let Teddy Bridgewater look like a phenomenal, elite, great quarterback. So, but here's the thing. That shouldn't happen tomorrow in the Eagles-Broncos game. It shouldn't happen. The Broncos offensive line, they're going to be down 3 starters. If there's any game to have a better bounce back game, to be a better bounce back game for the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line, this is it. This is it. You have 2 of your starting left tackles out and a guard and one of your left guards out, or one of your offensive guards out. It's perfect opportunity for Fletcher Cox, Josh Sweat, Derek Barnett, all these guys, Hassan Ridgeway, Milton Williams, to take advantage of the beat up Broncos offensive line. They have tons of injuries, but their coaches continue to get them to shape up and play well when the time comes on game day. And that's exactly what we saw when they played Dallas Cowboys last week. Is Denver Broncos absolutely routed the Dallas Cowboys and looked really, really good. So, but if the Eagles want a shot at least something at all this season, they need to start stringing wins together, and it needs to start with tomorrow's game. Now, do I think it will happen? I really hate to say this, but actually, you know what? I take back what I was about to say. I think the Eagles will get a close win. I think the Eagles will get a close win. I am hopeful that the defensive line has learned their lesson, that Jonathan Gannon has learned a lesson at least for 1 week, and being able to take advantage of a beat up offensive line and really get after Teddy Bridgewater. And I think the offense will continue to make strides for improvement. So I'm gonna say about 27-20 Philadelphia Eagles in this game. So, but I could also see it, and that's my final prediction. But if I were to give the game to the Broncos, I would say, it could be 28-17. 28-17. I mean, we have to remember who their running backs are, right? So the Eagles have not done good necessarily against the ground game this season, with the exception of the last 2 games. But here's the thing: is They've got Melvin Gordon back there. Everybody knows Melvin Gordon really, really well. Obviously, he's a decent running back. Was an elite running back for the Chargers, and still has some of that capability to his game. And then they also have Javonte Williams back there, rookie running back Javonte Williams, who's doing a good job. So I think that that's kind of where it's going to need to start. The defensive front is going to need to play stout against the run, and then force them to pass, and then we can force Teddy Bridgewater to make some bad decisions. Is that going to happen? I don't know. I don't think so. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm honestly, I've contradicted myself like 5 times within the last 2 minutes. It's a mixed bag for me. This is a tough game. I think the Eagles can win this game, or I think that the Broncos can win this game and beat up on the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll just have to see. But it's going to start, as far as the offense is concerned, it's going to start with Jalen Hurts. I really want to see Jalen Hurts develop and get better. So I'm pretty if I were to say this, if I were to come out and say, hey, I think that the season might be a lost cause, I could say that, but there could still be some hopeful things to look for. You know what I mean? So, however, I'm not going to come out and say that this is a lost cause unless they lose tomorrow. Then if they lose tomorrow against the Broncos, then we can start talking. But so yeah, guys, Kenny Pickett, quarterback for Pittsburgh quarterback, obviously went up against University of North Carolina Sam Howell, and Harry Roseman was at that game. Yeah, I mean, heck of a job by Kenny Pickett to come out and will that team to victory. Big Play Slay, what's up, my man? I haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? Yeah, a phenomenal job by Kenny Pickett. Honestly, I think that out of the 2 quarterbacks that Harry Roseman was there to watch, Kenny Pickett was definitely the one over the 2, both him and Sam Howell. Big Play Slay says Kenny Pickett don't even sound like a QB's name. Yeah, but did Justin Herbert sound like a QB's name before Justin Herbert was drafted? Or Carson Wentz? Kenny Pickett sounds more like a QB's name than Justin Herbert. You know what I mean? In my opinion. Here's the thing, Big Play Slay, and I'm glad that you got on here because I definitely want to talk about this. I think that regardless of how the Eagles do over the last 6 games, Harry Roseman is still going to draft a quarterback. Regardless of how Jalen Hurts does over the last 6 games, I think Harry Roseman is still going to draft a quarterback. So, now obviously, if you look at the numbers, like Jalen is on pace to have more than 30 or 3,000 yards, 22 passing touchdowns, shabby-dabby-dabby-da. But all the same, like even if those numbers do come true, I still think he's going to draft the quarterback, and I think it's going to be like a Kenny Pickett or something. They're going to find a way to get who they want, and it's all about competition. It's all about competition in the offseason. That's what it's going to be about. Big Play says I'm doing great. Big Play says Justin Herbert doesn't sound like a QB name, but it sounds more like a QB name than Kenny Pickett. Who cares about the name, though? There's only one real true name that sounds like a QB name, and that is Mr. 2 first names himself, Mr. number 12, the GOAT, Tom Brady. That's a QB. That's a QB sounding name. That's a QB sounding name. Kenny Pickett, like I could deal with Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett to Devonta Smith. But all in all, honestly, we saw Jalen Hurts develop a little bit. We saw him get some progress a little bit against the Chargers. Was standing in the pocket a little bit longer than he normally would. made some good throws. Did a good job in identifying the defense on some occasions. So obviously, first and foremost, I root for Jalen Hurts because I like the guy, but I am not opposed to Howie Roseman looking at these quarterbacks, and rightfully so. He certainly should. What's your take? I haven't talked to you in a while, so what's your take on this defense, man? What's your take on the defense? Do you think we're being too hard on Jonathan Gannon? Because here's the thing: how does this guy go from being one of the most sought out defensive coaches in the NFL in the offseason to being the most highly criticized defensive coach in the regular season? I just don't think he has the personnel. I think that there are some things that he's doing wrong, but I think that it's interesting because Joe Banner obviously talked about how they felt like they made a mistake on letting Sean McDermott go too early, and obviously he's developed into a pretty decent defensive coordinator. So that's the one thing is we kind of want to avoid that with Jonathan Gannon. Could it be similar in that situation where, you just got to give him a few years, you just got to give him a year or two longer than just 1 year to really blossom into a really, really good defensive coordinator? And honestly, we need better personnel. Honestly, the personnel on the defense sucks. Fletcher Cox is regressing. Everybody knows it. And me personally, I haven't really liked his production in 5 years. He's gotten last year he had a good statistical season, but I haven't really liked him from a production standpoint for at least 5 years. So there's that. Josh Sweat is being used out of position. Derek Barnett needs to get the fuck out of Philadelphia before I lose my marbles. And what else do we got? Ryan Kerrigan is a shell of himself in this defense. And that's the thing too. That's the thing I want to talk about too is, do you actually think that Ryan Kerrigan is a shell of himself, or is he just, I know we know for a fact he's being used differently, but is that pretty much the reason why? Is he a shell of himself, or is it just because he's being used differently than he had his entire career? That's the thing that I don't like about Jonathan Gannon, that he needs to figure out, is why the fuck are you using, these guys out of position that have had success their entire careers? You know what I'm saying? But man, oh man, can you imagine if we thought about getting rid of Carson Wentz a year earlier and then we had a shot at taking Justin Herbert? Have you played that tape over in your head? I have. Either him or Joe Burrow, but honestly, I'd rather have Justin Herbert over Joe Burrow. So, what are you going to do? Let's talk about Devonta Smith. Obviously, Devonta Smith had a breakout game, against the Chargers. 5 receptions, 116 yards, a touchdown. Yeah, guys, I think it's only going to get better from here on out. Obviously, you see Jalen Hurts progressing a little bit from last week, and Devonta, and they're starting to set up the play action really well because they're starting to be able to run the ball really well, and it's just gonna increase, the successful opportunities for Devonta Smith. So I cannot wait to see what Devonta Smith does tomorrow against the Broncos. I can't wait to see what this Eagles team does tomorrow against the Broncos. Honestly, it's a mystery every single week. Every single week so far in this 2021-2022 season for the Philadelphia Eagles has been a mystery week. You never know what they're going to do because you've seen what they could be. You've seen what you don't want them to be, and you've seen the in between. So, they're very hard. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to predict what they'll do. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to predict what they'll do, but you hope that you can get more opportunities for Quez Watkins. You can hope that Jalen Hurts continues to show that he's progressing. You can hope that the offensive line continues to get better. You can hope that the defense finally turns it around. But at the end of the day, we just do not know. And that's kind of what I mean. The entire season for the Philadelphia Eagles has been a mystery, has been a season full of mystery weeks. But anyway, this is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. I will say that the Eagles will squeak one by and win 27-20 tomorrow. And I'm going to stick to that. But lo and behold, this is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. One love, and go Birds, baby.